What does a city's history mean to the people who live and work in it? Well, the City of Negaunee will establish an Historic District Study Committee to try to find an answer to that question. I spoke with the city manager to get details on their plan.
The next step that the City of Negaunee has taken is announced that it's going to do a Historic Study Committee. It might be a little confusing for folks out there, but we just recently created a historic district, but a federal designation. And when that designation is made, it's more of an honorary title than anything. It doesn't hold any like statutory power to it. And what this local historic district would do, it would create a historic district commission. And then they would also be able to start making standards. So for instance, if somebody wants to do some work on the outside of their building in this district, they'd have to come before this committee first and get approval before they conduct that work.
I asked Mr. Heffron to please explain the types of projects this historical committee would make decisions on.
In many instances in Negaunee, there were different materials that were placed over these historic assets, or they were removed, or whatever it may be. So number one, we want to prevent that from happening in the future. And as we move forward and giving grants out and finding other funding for folks or people who just want to work on their buildings in these areas, if this local historic district is created, then they'll have to go through a process to make sure they restore that to its rightful look. The one thing we fall into if we don't do this is where we're at now, which is a disaster. Unfortunately, some of these buildings just don't look very good, and they've the historic assets have been taken away and not adding value to the community or adding value to those buildings. And in addition to that, it makes us look like Anytown, USA, and we don't want to be Anytown, USA. We want to be Irontown, USA. So we have to distinguish ourselves by the original look of our buildings as much as we can.
With ABC 10 CW5 News, I'm Tony Drew.